Hey everyone, it's your boy Roy, and I'm bringing you Chapter 3, or R-03, from Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. S-Rank, no, well, you guys know the rules by now. We're gonna start off with probably one of the most bizarre fights in the game, because this is the only fight against normal enemies that has a checkpoint in between. And this has a bit of a downside. If you quit the game in between the checkpoints, so you get the checkpoint and then quit, your accomplishments from the previous fight will not be remembered, which can be quite problematic, as you'll need a lot of Zandatsus and a lot of kills and high combo rating for the S rank. So better off to just not quit the game in between. Restarting is okay. The fight itself is pretty basic. You've got a lot of enemies, a lot of shooters, but by just using blade mode you can take care of them pretty fast. Now in the background you see a nice little poster. You can cut that up for a nice little codec conversation. I always like that, those little details. It was kind of surprising back then for me that it wasn't an achievement to find all those posters, because there's quite a lot of them. I think there's like 3 or 4 and a couple of cardboard box cutouts. Moving on to the second part of the fight. Slide blade mode for the win, and then just perfect parry, hell, and just break them all down. This fight's really basic. I gotta apologize for my voice. I had the anniversary party of the company I work for, and I'm also a bit not the flu, but I got a cold, so my voice isn't up to snuff. But I really want to just get this video out there, because I had a really fun time making this video, and it was R-03 was a lot harder than I imagined. The upcoming fight is a breeze, as it's against 2 grads. And we all know I have a lot of experience with 2 grads by now. Like, perfect parrying them has become second nature. They do nothing to me anymore. And especially the fact that you can run slash these 2, as opposed to their black armor counterparts, makes this fight so much more manageable. It's delicious. So yeah, just double blade double perfect parry. A nice little tidbit is, if you don't cut up their armor during that segment, you can, whenever you want, run up to them and jump, and then blade mode one of those armor pieces off, and it stuns them. So it's a nice little bit of crowd control you can utilize. Nice little bit of crowd control. Suffice to say that this fight is pretty ballsy easy. The fight afterwards is a nightmare. It's against, I think it's 5 customs. Customs are the guys with the long swords. And that's one of the one things this game isn't sure about, like, is the naming of its enemies. Both official guides, the messages, again that weird sideways thing with the Zandatsu. Both message boards, guides, the in-game codec conversations, and the AR mode all say different things about those guys with swords. Like, they have the they're called heavies sometimes. They're called customs by the VR mode. They're called special, I think it's called special office cyborg. And there's another term, and some people just like to call them longsword dudes. But the heavies in the VR, in the AR mode, are called are the hammer guys. So that's really confusing. For this fight, it's not a ranked fight, but you can just run around and stealth them easily. I forget a VR mission. It's right around to the right here, behind that scaffolding. Sorry about that. I didn't get it. I forgot about it completely, because I was pretty nervous for the next fight, because I know it's hard. And yet you really need to rely on some proper spacing and just use the pole arm. I think I use the pole arm. I mean, shameless. Just this fight is ridiculous for S rank. Without Ripper, it's pretty damn hard. Oh, I don't even use the pole arm. That's a neat little trick you got in this game. If you perfect parry enemies like this, whenever you get a bit, it's not really luck, but positioning is required. You gotta stand close to 2 of them, and then you can perfect parry 1, and he'll start a parry war, but your perfect parry will still do a bit of the hitbox as remains at the end of the blow, and you can kill someone on the side, which is pretty handy against these guys in groups. Or you can just do what I'm doing right now and just spam the hell out of that air attack. Now the danger in this moment is that I might accidentally let one of them node kill, which means that I spared their life, and I don't want that because I want full points in case one of these guys gets lucky hit. Now T blade mode cancel T, or heavy blade mode cancel heavy, is probably one of the most ridiculous things in this game with the pole arm. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but it's fast, it does an insane amount of hits, and it stuns a lot. I almost got the full, I think it's the full 650. 6500. Quickly grab some nano paste, and then we're off to the next fight, which I did on my first try. Not really special, but a lot of these fights are at least 2 or 3 takes before I get them down. Get into this building, or be a retard and grab this first. That's cool too. Oh, there's a data storage over here. I remember on my original playthrough, this was the last one I found. I don't like to use guides myself, so I usually just look up. What's your status? I didn't. Did I edit this out? I don't think I did. Oh, that's pretty bad. I always hate how these things can't be skipped. Like just one button, you have to mash that button to get through them. I always thought it was something of a loading thing, but the loading screens aren't any shorter in the PC version as compared to the console version. So far, the only differences I found are, well, Monsoon. They're mostly around Monsoon, outside of the frame rate glitch, which means that if your game isn't performing, that's a nice way to break the glass. I always like that. If your game isn't performing at 60 FPS, some QuickTime events get a bit bugged. But outside of that, everything that's different about the PC version has to do with this game, this chapter's final boss, Monsoon. As in, one of the cutscenes before it used to be skippable and now can't be skipped, which is really weird in a lot of ways. Because it's a fun cutscene, don't get me wrong, but why? Well, this fight, sorry, easy. It's do Gecko. You just run. You either do enough damage so you can perfect parry them, or you just run around like an idiot and try to parry one of their bull rushes and then go for the kill. And I think that's why a no fuel run is pretty fun and challenging. It's because you can't exploit little things like this. A lot of enemies can be killed in pretty much one hit. I got really lucky here that he did his bull rush as well. But nearly any enemy in the game can be killed in 1 or 2 hits if you know what you're doing and know what move to counter and what to look for. And that's a nice little reward for players who know what they're doing, who've experimented and invested time in the game. But it's also a bit of a sad thing that, for instance, with the Dwarf Gecko are just boring to fight for me now, because I just know, alright, you just gotta go in ninja run and slash like mad, which is what you should do, because thanks to some coding or design issues, Dwarf Gecko can't hit you while you're ninja running, so you just run around and they can't do shit, which is bad and sad, because they're actually quite cute enemies. And there's these Bruce Lee versions of them, but they're hidden collectibles. It would have been pretty cool if they were like main enemies in the game, or like a side enemy, or a mini boss, secret mini boss. And again, that shows the head of that this game was rushed and really needs a sequel. If this game has a sequel, man, I would be over. Gaming would be done. I'd only need that game to survive. Hell, you can throw me on an uninhabited island with this game, and I have a blast with it. Usually, in the past, when somebody asked me, like, what's your favorite game that you can play infinitely? And the answer used to be Prince of Persia: Warrior Within. And I think that game is now Revengeance. Warrior Within is probably, it was the game that got me into this genre of action games. I'm gonna postpone that discussion and talk about this fight. This fight is really annoying. Now you can quickly, if you position yourself right, you can blade mode these two at the same time. And then quickly jump towards this guy. But now you've got 2 shield enemies. And shield enemies, these guys have armor. And that's annoying. If this is a regular enemy, you can either just destroy, if they have a shield, you can perfect parry it and destroy it. Or you can dodge to the side, activate Ripper, and then blade mode, and just cut them up just cut them open from behind. You can flank them, which is pretty... I always thought it was a nice little detail. I think I get a perfect parry kill here somewhere. Yeah, there we go. And then I just go for the infinites. Because in this run we're not going to play nice. Or I'm just going to go for perfect parry war. Oh, this is pretty cool. That little juggle thingy. You parry his parry and then counter with a dodge, which he parries, which you parry with a dodge, which he parries. Yeah, there's a meme in there somewhere. But going back to Warrior Within, because I'm gonna... There's not a lot I can talk about with these fights. The footage speaks for itself. I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, then just shut up. Well, I did make an arrangement. I'm not going to talk during a couple of parts of boss fights. For instance, with this boss fight, Monsoon. This is always nice. You can... as long as you're in the air or have a move that is based on the triangle, on the heavy button, which you use to fast forward codecs, you can do all sorts of fun things. There's a video on my channel spreading the ashes, I think, of Sundowner, and you should check that out. It's really funny. It abuses that mechanic. The next segment can be stealth past, and then I'm going to start talking again by using what you'll see me do in a few seconds. It's a pretty fun find. I found this myself. I was pretty proud of it. And I completely actually forget about skip and then jump back up. Need lightning kick for this. You go up here, and then you just don't have to fight that guy anymore. Saves a bit of time for speedrunners and stuff like that. But I jumped down to get the VR mission. But yeah, Warrior Within was, for me, the first action game that I actually really played. I had Sands of Time before that, but Sands of Time, in my opinion, doesn't count because it only had one attack move. But Warrior Within still, even to this day, has a really fun moveset that I really enjoyed using. You either had dual stance, in which you had a weapon in both hands, or singular stance. But quickly to interrupt, this fight amazed me. This was my first shot, and I remember on previous S-rank runs, this fight gave me nightmares. For the simple reason that, A, I could never no damage it, so I just went for the no-kill rule, which I completely forgot here, and then suddenly, oh man, I don't even have the side. This is going to be hell. And then I suddenly looked back at the screen and was like, wait, I think everybody's already dead. Oh, that was actually quite easy. Huh. So yeah, just go for the lightning kick and blade mode. And again, this is where blade mode shows its overpowered nature in the game. If an enemy doesn't have armor, they're dead in seconds. Going back to Warrior Within, it had two stances, like singular stance, which you had one sword, your main sword, and you could use the secondary arm for grappling moves. And dual stance, in which you have two weapons. And two weapons only lasted so long because your secondary weapon would break. So you were constantly forced to switch back and forth, and it had a fun system. You were really an agile character, not agile like in this game, but still quite acrobatic, especially for that generation. Now this fight was the hardest of the chapter. There is so much stuff going on here, it defies reason. You've got two sliders with a soldier. Take care of those first with lightning kick into blade mode. And you'll want to go no damage here. But yeah, might as well talk about the fight because I got extra time to talk about the fight. One-on-one, these guys aren't a problem. But it's the fact that they're grouped that makes them dangerous. In groups, these guys will... Oh, I had frame rate issues. I remember this. When in groups, these guys will constantly vary their moves together, meaning one will do the unblockable, the other will do an unblockable, and the other will do his spreader, his swing move. That one. To space you out and force you into block, so you're gonna stay at your distance and abuse range. And that's just the way you gotta fight this. Or else you're dead instantly, and you don't want that. Or at least you get hit. Now, again, you see me abuse the range of the pole arm, especially forward heavy, which has great range and a high chance of stunning these guys. Now, knowing the patterns of what these guys can do is very important. And now we've reached the point in which one of these guys has which one of these guys has a blue arm, which means we can cut off that arm, and once it's cut off, he won't be able to use his weapon anymore. But the last one still doesn't. So my plan here and tactic is to cut off all of their arms at the same time, and then just go at it. That was really risky. And that was bad targeting system. Again, this game has a lot of flaws. Its targeting system is one of them as well. But yeah, this fight was a nightmare. I was pretty sure I'd make it eventually, but I was also pretty sure I'd be stuck on it for a long time. Now, see, we've got all three arms blue, and now it's time for some positioning. I need to get them close to each other so I can just blade mode them all instantly, get them together, so I can then use my pole arm to juggle them infinitely. Right, they're getting close. Alright, there we go. Now we can just go at it. Because they've lost their limb, or not lost it, it's been bluidized. It's been blued. They can no longer block my attacks, which means I can just go nuts. Go old turtle style. Bam. Nice Sandatsu. And for the final kill. Bulls. Eye. That fight was just insane. Hated that fight. But it did show off some of the good design qualities of the game. And how fun the combat can be if you know how to space correctly. Now the upcoming fight is going to be against two customs and a chopper. And this fight can be quite annoying in the sense that the chopper can clip you pretty easily. And that the camera isn't really your friend here. Especially if you lock onto the chopper like I'm doing here. To be able to lightning kick him. It gets really annoying. So for this fight, if you're just doing a regular run, go Ripper on this man. Ripper this chopper apart and go nuts on these customs. Give me some sweet payback. Get that payback in for me, because this fight was annoying. Now once he's finally blued up, get your blade mode out, cut him to pieces, and then we get to familiar ground. Now there's this attack rush that these guys have, in which you do a flurry of blows, and you can normal parry them, but you can't perfect parry them. When they do that one, just parry one hit and then quickly dodge out of it, and that's going to be 100% safe against them. And in this case, this fight is 100% free. Because my god, these guys are easy with that little exploit. It's a bit of a shame, but they're just too annoying to fight in groups, especially on this type of run. You just want to be done with them. Now, this guy, he doesn't even have any limbs. Except his head. He's like the Black Knight from Monty Python. There's so many YouTube videos of that character paired with Revengeance. It's quite funny. Oh, nice little no damage run. Now here you can find a nice little data storage, but it's pretty hard to find. I actually got this by accident once. Just jump up, blade mode this guy. Props if you can Zandatsu him like I did. And he drops the data storage. I have no idea how you're supposed to find that by yourself. Like, as I said, I got really lucky. That guy flew over to me and I was like, oh, I'm gonna kill him. Because I wanted... I don't even know what my reason was. And I got it. But... And here we get a nice little camera screwage. And this is one of the few places in the game where you can actually fall off. There's no invisible walls here. You just fall to your doom. And you can throw off enemies as well if you use Palm Strike or Lightning Kick or the forward heavy from the pole arm. Now the next section is going to be a bit annoying in that we're going to be fighting in the dark. I'm just going to try and fight every enemy. You can skip past this conversation if you have Ripper mode. A little bit back. There's a couple of well, ventilation systems as you see here. stand on them, then jump, and use heavy with the pole arm. But during the second heavy, you quickly activate Ripper mode. And this gives you a huge boost in jumping height. If you ever need any kinds of those kind of tips, I highly recommend Findlestick, I think his name is, on YouTube. He's got an entire archive of exploits, glitches, ways to avoid certain encounters in games. It's really entertaining to watch. I think he must have some history in programming, or he really knows the patterns. Now over here I'm really being reckless because they're Mastiffs and I'm Raiden, so I can just perfect parry them to death. Even though I played it really stupid, I should have just executed them. And that's one. Mastiffs, though still hard on Revengeance, are a lot less dangerous. At least on Revengeance, that is. Perfect parrying them is so easy and so easily learned. There's not much of a challenge to it once you get it down. Still, in groups they can be pretty dangerous. But on very hard, they're a nightmare. They are an absolute nightmare in groups. Now, in the upcoming section, there's going to be a couple of VR mission, and I think a data storage. And if you want to, you can stealth past this entire segment, but it's just annoying and boring. This is one of those places in a video game where you think, like, why is this here? I mean, we all know VR mission is VR mode or AR mode is cool, but this game isn't about stealth. That's Metal Gear Solid. It's fun that the stealth segments are in there, but this whole dark area thing, usually I just go to the brightness settings and just crank up the brightness so I can just see normally. And it wouldn't have been so annoying if you could just ninja run while in AR mode, but for some reason they opted that out as well. I think I got grabbed, yeah. Easy Mastiff fight again. Give him one little slash and then I get hit. I remember thinking to myself, I want to talk about that move, because you see me get hit by it again. That backhand, which he only does if you're standing behind him, has an earlier hitbox than the animation gives it credit for. What I try to say with that is, because that's a lot of jargon at once, when he does that backhand, at the moment you think, alright, now his fist is getting close to my head, it's already counting as a hit. So you gotta perfect parry it a lot earlier than most moves, because it'll already have hit you before the fist actually connects with Raiden, which can be a bit annoying. Maybe it's like the shock. Maybe it's the idea that like the shockwave of the attack is so brutal and that hits Raiden, but I doubt it's that. It's just a really weird attack. Now the upcoming part has one change of the PC version. Sometimes, I think it's a bug, sometimes the Mastiffs in the neck fight won't appear unless you're detected by the dwarfs, which is a weird design choice in my opinion. I don't know how it happened. Maybe it's just a porting error, or maybe it was also an original game, it just never happened to me. That could be something as well. Now here's a VR mission, hidden in the darkness. VR missions are pretty fun diversions. I always like the fact, especially on the consoles, like the console version had around 50 to 60 FPS, but the VR missions were always like a solid 60 because the environments were simplified. And that was always pretty, it felt extra smooth compared to the main game, which I enjoyed. That being said, the VR missions itself were horrible. And there were only a couple of fun ones, and the DLC was especially bad, with a lot of really boring missions that just defied expectations in terms of horridness, especially the ones that were like a miniature minesweeper with all those insta-kill mines everywhere. Whoever thought of... There's probably a good reason why those weren't in the main game, probably because they were freaking annoying. Here we go, cool. Second, get 2 perfect parries, and then use the execution to go for the kill. Now that's a cool way to do this fight, and now it's pretty atypical. Run around, and you guessed it, ninja run slash, yay! Now we're slowly getting closer to the final boss fight, and it should suffice to say that that fight gave me a lot more trouble than I thought it would. I consider myself to be a decent expert at Monsoon. A lot of the tips and tricks out there I think originate actually from me, like the blade mode lure and a couple of other tricks. So I went in a bit arrogant, like, oh, this is going to be easy. I can do this. Monsoon, man, I got that down. And I got absolutely demolished. And I'm not saying that in the sense like he beat me a lot, but I never got an S rank. Due to my very, very low damage output, I couldn't beat him in time. And then you can say, what, don't you get no damage? Well, Monsoon is pretty hard to no damage for everyone, because he has so many quick attacks, and eventually there's going to be one hit he sneaks in. And considering the fight lasted, I think it was 12 minutes on one of my quicker runs, I just looked at the screen like, I can't do this no damage. I need a lot of luck for that. But I find a way. I remembered one of the techniques I knew, and I exploited it. And I'm playing it pretty vague. I've already posted a video on that technique against Monsoon, so a lot of people out here, this was really cool. On how I just destroy this block. That's a nice little weakness they have. You can, if they block, you can just blade mode their guard, and they'll be instantly stunned. The downside being you have to use blade mode to destroy their block, so you're gonna have to use an electrolyte package or quickly build some meter to execute them. Next is grad fight, which is of course horribly easy now that we know how the fight goes. Start off with a nice little quick draw. Most worthless move in the game, but it's cool as hell. What else needs to be said? Yeah, the Monsoon fight, that you'll see it when it happens. I'm gonna explain it to like how it works, starting from about the earlier segments, just before the fight. I'll start talking about that boss fight. So I'm now talking about when I'm going to talk about the boss fight. Here you see me cut up some armor, and then run around, slash a bit more, perfect parry, and insta win. Now the upcoming fight is pretty easy in the sense that you can stealth a few enemies before you have to fight them, and that's handy because it's not a ranked fight, so it doesn't matter. There's also a chest over there with a health upgrade, which we're not getting because we're playing naked and unloved. But that chest is a pretty nightmare. Like, I've had runs. I remember my first naked and unloved run. I thought, hey, what was that in the chest again? And I sliced it open, and I automatically grabbed the health upgrade, and it automatically saved. So I had to replay the entire game. I just finished it 3 times on normal, hard. No, 4 times. Normal, hard, very hard, and Revengeance. Then press new game because I wanted the title, and I had to try to do it all over again. I was a bit annoyed. But yeah, 2 stealth kills. Now quickly go nuts on this guy with the infinite until the reinforcements arrives. As you see appear here. And I'll quickly cut off his arm, which I completely fail at. Unacceptable. But I do get the arm, which is good. And I think that also nets me the machete. Or no, at the end of this run, I think I get the machete due to me getting enough data storages. And that's good game design. I gotta give the game credit for it. A lot of games will get that down, but you were in the Zandatsu animation, and just as the animation ended, the enemy would attack me, and I could already parry it. So that's good balancing. Game I like, for instance, Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge. I think it's a really fun game. It's broken, and a lot of weapons are completely overpowered, but it still has some charm. But it doesn't have what I just mentioned. It doesn't have, for instance, if you do an obliteration, you're pretty much fucked for like 5 frames. You can't do anything. You can't block, you can't dodge, you can't do anything. You just, if there's a bomb on the ground, well, you're pretty much fucked. Yeah, don't open that chest if you want to do Naked on Run. Naked and Unloved. Excuse me. Now, the next fight should be really hard, but we're blessed with the fact that there's one lone soldier, which means we're going to abuse the no-kill rule. UGs, unmanned gears, do not count as humanoids, which are these ape things and the upcoming dogs. This guy does. So we cut off his legs, and then we run away, and he escapes. Which means we technically no-killed this fight. Now I should have done this execution a bit later, so I could kill the other Mastiffs, because when you're in an execution, other enemies stop moving. They go sort of docile mode. Now wait for these 2 Mastiffs to appear, but now I've also spawned the Fenrir's. There we go, kill the Fenrir with my execution. And now we've just got 1 Mastiff left and 1 Fenrir. Now Fenrir's either have a chainsaw or, actually they have a chainsaw or a laser gun. Now with the laser gun, you want to get close to them. If you get too close to their laser gun, you can just, they'll jump away. I think you see me do it here. Slide TT works pretty well against them, and it stuns them. And sometimes grounds them. And you can use this as a sort of miniature stun against them. And it always works. And then quickly execute for the kill. Fenrirs are fun enemies, and I remember the first time I played this game, I thought, oh man, Blade was going to be a main enemy now, like a recurring thing. That was pretty cool. I really like that idea, in general. I always like that idea of big enemies early on becoming normal enemies later on. It really signifies just how good you've become. And there's a really well hidden data storage over there. Oh, here, this is something I just like to do. It's something you should try too. Try and do as many palm strikes as you can. I think my record here is like 22. And eventually it gets really hard because the palm strike motion is really... there we go. The palm strike motion is pretty hard to pull off with the back forward. Eventually, due to either camera issues or just an input error, you'll screw it up. Now, the upcoming fight is ridiculously easy. I'm not even going to talk about it. Standard cookie cutter blade mode. So I'm going to start talking about the next segment and about the boss fight. So I can also let you guys enjoy the boss fight, which is important. The upcoming fight is horrible. It is against, I think it's 5 soldiers, but you're in this depressed state, so you walk really slowly. And the basic gist is no damage. Either you go for no damage, or you abuse like overpowered items like Ripper or Foxblade or anything else, and just browse through them. But I don't have those options, so for me, yeah, this was going to be a pain. I was going to have to go through the entire thing. Now, what you see me do here is speeding up this thing like a madman. Now, I quickly lure these 2 together and just go nuts. Just attack. Don't care about health. You gotta go for time here. Because you got, I think it's 3 minutes? No. I think it's 7 minutes or something. You got to kill them all. And you walk really slowly. And you need about 8 to 10 slashes. And this lamppost here saves me. Because it blocked this line of sight. So you can stop me with bullets. So I keep slashing, keep slashing. Now finally I'm like, oh god, please don't screw this up, God, I hate this fight. And this guy just blocked one of my attacks. I was like, no. Yeah, 3 minutes, 70 seconds. You have 3 minutes and 30 seconds to do it. Now I'm quickly gonna run back and get some health packs. Yay! Health packs. But, boss fight. Monsoon is pretty damn difficult, and it's for the reason that you can't perfect parry him normally. Now what I use is the blade mode lure. Blade mode lure entails that you use blade mode in front of an enemy, which forces them to do a certain move. Due to programming, if you do blade mode near an enemy, they do all sorts of things. And for instance, for Monsoon, it's either his jump slash or running. And this is a scene that can be skipped on PC for some reason. But there's a cat, so that's nice. So yeah, I use Blade Mode Lure. And in the PC version, it's reversed. It works better against his normal state than his purple state. So that makes this fight a lot easier on PC. And you're going to see me use it. So I'm going to shut up now and enjoy the fight.
Death approaches. Forget it. You'll rot. This one's on me! Welcome to my utopia! Death! Magnetic force, Jack! Nature! Magnetic color! I'll kill you! Current force! Go! I have won this! Too bad for that! So this is Jack's terrifying true form. Magnetic power! You lost this one! Too fast for that! This one's on me! Left hand rule! Magnetic power! Too fast for that! I hope you choke! Give it up! Give it up! Welcome to my utopia of death! I'll put you under, weakling! Now what will you do, Jack Ripper? Bullseye! Do as you please!
And that was Monsoon. Pretty easy fight. No, it wasn't. It was annoying as hell. It was really hard. But we unlocked the Sai, and the Sai is going to help us a lot in the upcoming chapter. I'm pretty sure it will. The Sai has its attack potential is pretty low. But if you equip it for long enough and not take damage, it'll enter a purple state itself, and it will stun enemies, which is great for crowd control. And considering heavy attacks mostly aren't that useful until you get the pincers, it's a brilliant weapon. Now, thankfully, we got a nice little set of strength upgrades for our sword. And I again start to contemplate whether or not I should buy our beautiful, delicious, extravagant Mexican outfit. And I don't. I thought about it for a few seconds. I was like, no. I might need the BP to upgrade my pincers in the future. Don't do it. Don't do it. Save the money. Maybe use it for the final boss. And I'll see you guys next time in R-04.